Jack Leiter just had the best start of his life, doing things he's never done before. On today's show, we're talking about how he has completely changed my perception of his future. And is it time to start getting concerned that this offense isn't hitting? We'll talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about Jack Leiter's fantastic start, a little bit about him leaving the game early, what this means for his future, these first 2 great starts, and unfortunately talking about, yet again, a lackluster offense. But let's start with the story of this game. Jack freaking Leiter. Oh my goodness. This was the best I've ever seen Jack Leiter by a bazillion miles. And let me get this clear. I have seen a lot of Jack Leiter. Heck, I think I've seen probably 5 to 10 of his starts in Frisco, and I've never seen him look this good. It wasn't just about the stat line, although the stat line was very, very good. 5 innings pitched, 0 walks, just 1 hit, and 6 strikeouts on 70 pitches. 46 of those were for strikes. He did leave this game early with a blister. It was a blister that popped after that 5th inning, the inning where he lost the perfect game on the LA De La Cruz double, which without wind aid might have honestly been just a regular flyout. But the Rangers didn't want to chance it. They had a 1-0 lead at that point. Bruce Bochy said, hey, we're all going to get an extra day off with the off day today, Thursday. So there was no real need to chance it. The bullpen was rested because of Eovaldi's gem, the complete game shutout the night before, and because the Rangers were so thoroughly trounced in the first game of the series that the A side of the bullpen did not pitch, because when you're down 6 runs after 3 innings and then 13 later on, it's not really wise to use the A side of your bullpen, which was already taxed. But this was something new for Jack Leiter. This was something that he could never do. Not that he could never in his past throw 5 innings with just 1 run and 6 strikeouts and 0 walks. But the way he did it was so different than what we'd seen before. It was the one thing that Jack really couldn't do. Jack can do a lot of things well. His four-seam fastball is very good, and it ticking up 1.5 miles per hour, that's helpful for sure. The shape of it is also very good. The breaking balls have been very good. He hasn't been able to control them quite as well, but they've been good enough. The new kick change and the new sinker, they really help complement the rest of his profile. He's kind of scrapped that cutter that he was working on a little bit, but at this point he's already got 5 pitches that are pretty solid, so he doesn't really need it. But the thing that's different is that he can now command the fastball, not just control it, but command it. The one at bat in this game that really signified how different Jack Leiter was, not just with his command with the fastball, but who he is as a pitcher. It was this strikeout to LA De La Cruz in the first inning. It was just the most beautiful bit of pitching for Jack Leiter. He gets a curveball, a foul ball for strike 1, gets ahead in the count, 0-1. That's great. Falls behind with a changeup out of the zone in the dirt, not really a competitive pitch. And then pitch 3, look at that. That was another kick change, and it was right on the corner of the strike zone. But he didn't get the call. At 1-1, that is the highest leverage pitch in an at-bat usually. When you're tied at a ball and a strike, and you go from either a hitter's count to a pitcher's count, that really changes the trajectory of an at-bat. And you could be forgiven for being incredibly frustrated with that pitch call, because he made the pitch. He made it. That was a strike. That should have been called a strike. It wasn't all day, so maybe you adjust to the zone later on. But he moved on with that 2-1 count and dotted that sinker. The new pitch that he's still getting a feel for, he dotted it at 98.5 miles an hour, reading 99 on the gun, right on the inside quarter to Elly De La Cruz. And he just watched it for a called strike. That is a perfect pitch, unless Elly knows it's coming, which he didn't, because Jack had been sequencing his pitches better. Another thing that he did well in this game. But after dotting that pitch, then he comes back. Actually, excuse me, that was the fifth pitch. He was already in a 3-1 count. So after that pitch, after he goes down 2-1, then he throws a ball in the dirt, a slider that he thought that Elly might chase. Then he comes back in that 3-1 count, a dangerous hitters count, the most dangerous hitters count, dots 99, and then throws that slider again, perfectly executed, down below the zone, significantly below the zone. But because it's got so much movement on it, because he's throwing it so well, Elly De La Cruz swings over the top of it and strikes out. That is the best at-bat I have ever seen Jack Leiter have. Not just the stuff, the placement, but the poise as well. The command of all those pitches, knowing exactly what he wants to do with those pitches. And even when he executes and doesn't get the call, he doesn't get in his head. He just said, okay, I'll just go get the next one. And that was incredible. That is something that Jack Leiter has never done in his career. He has not commanded the fastball at all. The shape of it and all of that stuff has been great. He relied on it a whole lot too much last year and in years past. So even though it was a good shape and had good movement profiles and good velocity and all of that stuff, it was getting tattooed because it was the only pitch that he really trusted. And now he's trusting his other stuff. He's also commanding those pitches as well. It's not just the four-seam fastball that he's commanding, but it's the other pitches. Look at this pitch chart if you're watching on YouTube. Look at how precise, how much on the corners he is with all these pitches. It's his misses. When he's not throwing strikes, when he's throwing balls out of the zone, they're barely out of the zone. I mean, they are a hair, a whisper, a microfiber out of the zone. And if that's where you're missing, that's not going to hurt you at all. Jack Leiter, with his misses a lot of times, when he got too reliant on the fastball, he even threw a couple of mistake pitches. There even were, a couple of sliders in the middle of the zone, a couple of four-seam fastballs towards the middle of the zone, because he had done such a good job with the pitch mix and executing those pitches. And also look where those sliders were. Look at how well placed those sliders were. A pitch that he threw not majority of the time, but the most in this game. 31 of his 70 pitches were sliders. He only threw 15 fastballs. That was four-seam fastballs, and then 7 sinkers. This was a very, very good pitch mix. And this goes to Eovaldi's leadership and Eovaldi's credit. I mean, they're kind of similar in the way that they go about things in terms of them being a heavy fastball reliant pitcher, although Eovaldi has a splitter. And honestly, I would love for Eovaldi to teach Jack Leiter how to throw the splitter, because this kick changeup, it's good, and I think it does a better job of setting up the other pitches than it itself being a good pitch. But just the execution, the poise, if he can throw this fastball with this kind of velocity, just this easy velo, and also command the breaking stuff, throw it in the zone, and then throw it for chases when he needs to, and have hitters respect that and expand the zone to go and chase those balls in the dirt. This is a new Leiter. This is not even getting him back to where his prospect status was, where his ceiling was as a draftee when the Rangers drafted him second overall. I mean, this is higher. And that ceiling at that point was a number 2. I mean, this is special stuff that Jack's doing. This is something that we've never seen him do, unlocking ceilings that we never thought possible with Jack Leiter. And the ceiling for him was already pretty darn high. We're going to talk about how he can keep this up, how he can learn from this and grow, and how he said, even though this game was incredible, he still thinks that he can do better. And I think he's right. We'll talk about how and this offense right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's why Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared personal accounts and expenses, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back and I'll be talking about the minor leagues. I was over in Frisco yesterday talking with Sebastian Walcott and some of the other Rangers top prospects that are going to start the year in Frisco, and I'll be talking about what you need to look out for the Rangers farm this minor league season. But a guy who I saw a lot in the minor leagues was Jack Leiter, and just from the stuff, from the confidence, from the poise, from the pitchability, just everything looks so different from Jack Leiter than the guy who I saw for 2 years in Frisco. I mean, there's nobody who I've seen start more games in the minor leagues, starting pitcher-wise, than Jack Leiter. I mean, before that, it was Yohander Mendez. I saw quite a few Yohander Mendez starts, not intentionally. I was just there watching the hitters. But Jack Leiter, I watched him over and over and over and over again make similar mistakes. Be wild and erratic with that fastball. Not be able to land that breaking stuff for strikes. The changeup was kind of non-existent, and hitters just kind of sat all over and jumped all over that fastball. And, I lost a lot of confidence in Jack, and I think Jack lost a lot of confidence in himself when he came out of the draft, out of Vanderbilt. The reason that I think the Rangers were more comfortable with him than they were with drafting Rocker at that point is that it seemed like Jack Leiter was a little bit safer of a bet with the injury history, with Rocker and all of the injury question marks. And that was even before he had Tommy John surgery. He had knee issues. He had a shoulder issue that the Mets realized when they drafted him and ended up not signing him, which is why he was available for the Rangers to go get him in the 2022 draft. But the ceiling with Rocker was always higher because Leiter, for me, the reason I would have rather had Rocker at that time before I knew about the shoulder issues with Rocker is that, Rocker was in the strike zone. He was also a bigger body. He had that breaking ball. He had more of a command of the fastball. He didn't, have struggles with walks. He threw in the strike zone. He didn't beat himself by being wild and all over the place. And with Leiter, the stuff, the fastball stuff was better. The breaking stuff, I mean, I don't think anybody's got quite as good a breaking stuff as Kumar Rocker. Outside of Jacob deGrom's slider, in terms of the starting pitchers in baseball, Rocker's breaking stuff is just that special. But with Jack Leiter, if he's got that special of fastball and he's actually commanding it now, that changes everything. It is crazy how much his development stock has not just reset. Because when he came out of the draft, my thought was, and I think a lot of people's who were talent evaluators' thoughts were about Leiter, is that if he's a pretty safe pick, he's probably going to, breeze through the minor leagues pretty quickly. He's about as polished, it seemed like, as a pitcher as we've seen out of college since basically David Price, who took about 3 seconds to be in the minor leagues and then jumped all the way up to the Rays major league team. I believe the year that he was drafted and pitched in the pen down the stretch to the World Series for the Rays that year, and then became a very, very, very good starting pitcher for a long time. And the thought with Jack was, okay, he's probably got some, refining to do. Maybe the ceiling isn't nearly as high as it was with Rocker, because Rocker, potential future ace, that was the ceiling on him. That's a rare ceiling to bestow on somebody. But with Jack, the ceiling you thought was probably number 3, probably at worst number 4 or 5 starter, but he's going to be a starter. Maybe at best he's a number 2. And at this point, if he starts commanding this fastball like this consistently, again, this is 2 starts. These are 2 very, very good starts, but it's just 2 starts. And there will be some times this year that Jack Leiter starts to get hit around a little bit. I think that kick change he's maybe relying on a bit too much. It's funny, all the talk about him learning the kick change from Matt Festa. Matt Festa threw the pitch one time in the big leagues last year. One time. And then I don't think he had thrown it much before that. Go and look at his Baseball Savant page and check me to make sure that I'm right. But I think that pitch more it sets up the other pitches better, because right now it is a pitch that is getting hit hard at this point. Adding the sinker, I think, adds a little bit more to his four-seam fastball than the kick change does. And just commanding the breaking stuff, I think, really helps. Maybe if he can figure out a splitter from Eovaldi, I think that would be even better than the kick change. Maybe he just needs to get a little bit more of a feel for it. I mean, he's only been throwing the pitch for a couple of months, but in these couple of months, Jack Leiter has done more to improve his development stock than he did in, 3 years since he was drafted? It is truly absurd and kind of hilarious how, when Jack Leiter came out, it was, this is this pitching prospect that the Rangers can't ruin. And it seemed like the Rangers kind of ruined him. I mean, starting him in Double-A was such an aggressive assignment, and he was just hearing from so many different voices, it seemed like, what the Rangers were telling him to do, what his Vanderbilt coaches were telling him to do, what his dad was telling him to do. And it seems like he's kind of figured out the right balance of, okay, who do I listen to? Who do I trust? How am I going to implement this stuff for myself? And he's made all these different changes in pitching development and development in general, and development in life. It's not a linear path, and for Jack, it has been kind of up, down, 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 up a little bit, down a little bit, and then way up in the last month. And it brings me so much joy seeing this kid not just out there dominating, but having fun. I mean, seeing this guy, his first start, I remember he was a little cocky in a good way, in the right amount of confidence, not arrogance, not, brash. It was just, I've been the best person on basically every single baseball team I've ever played on, and I've dominated everybody I've ever faced, and I'm better than you, and I know it, and I'm going to go destroy you. And then he had some troubles, and then he had some struggles, and then the spotlight was very much on those years of struggles in 2022 and 2023. He was in Frisco. I mean, he was getting talked about every single start, and that's not normal for a player's developmental path. Usually they're allowed to, figure some things out, and that's why there's maybe a 6-month stretch on here in 2024 that I just didn't talk about Jack Leiter starts, because I was like, what's there to say? What's there to say at this point? I think it was actually more 2023, where he just looked kind of like the same guy. And if he's the ceiling, if he can command this fastball consistently, and command the breaking stuff consistently, this is potential ace stuff. Again, it's been 2 starts, so it's way too soon to say this, but I feel very confident the floor is back. I've been saying since this spring training that he's going to be a starter. I no longer have that fear of, maybe Jack Leiter's eventually going to go in the back end of the bullpen and he's not going to be able to start, not going to be able to face a lineup 3-4 times through. He's not going to be able to have enough different pitches that he has a feel for and can throw consistently to get through a lineup multiple times that you need to do to be a starter. I don't have that fear anymore. Now, is he going to be an ace? That way too soon to tell. Is he even going to be a number 2? I don't know, maybe. But if he is, I mean, you have your rotation for the next few years. You have Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi at the top of that rotation. And learning from Evo, learning how to game plan from Evo, learning from, just how Evo thinks about the game and how he makes an impact on young pitchers. I said it when the Rangers signed him this offseason, that simply having him around Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker to kind of show them his process, he has helped so many different pitchers along the way. I mean, the easiest example was Kirby Yates last year, who wasn't just some young kid trying to figure out how to be a starter. He had one little tweak about how to throw a splitter, and Kirby Yates had the best season of his entire life at 37 because of, maybe not entirely just one tweak from Eovaldi, but still, that's $75 million towards Eovaldi and the millions that they are paying Jacob deGrom. If the Rangers can supplement that, of having 3 guys in your rotation that are, to having at least one more guy who is a playoff caliber starter, which if Jack keeps this up right now at this current level, that's a guy who I would start game 3. I mean, he's basically the number 3 in this rotation right now. I mean, it's Jacob deGrom, obviously get your game 1 starter. Nathan Eovaldi, for sure your game 2 starter. And outside of that, I don't think you're throwing Rocker in a game 3. I don't think you're throwing Tyler Mahle in a game 3. I think you're throwing Jack Leiter. That is incredible. An incredible development. When the Rangers drafted these 2 Vanderbilt guys back-to-back in a window where the Rangers hopefully aren't going to be drafting that high to get a chance at pitchers like that, homegrown, controllable, good starting pitchers like that, and you basically have to hit on one of them. Of those 3 top 5 picks that the Rangers had, the Rangers almost kind of have to hit on 2 of them. They've hit on Wyatt Langford, for sure. They have hit on Wyatt Langford. That is a win. That is a massive win. It is honestly the complete luck of the draw that the Rangers even jumped up in the draft with the lottery and that Wyatt Langford was available there. But in terms of these 2 pitchers, in Rocker and Leiter, one of them kind of has to be a starter for this financial model to work in this window, to contend and to keep this window of contention open for the long term. This Jack Leiter development, this is the biggest story so far this year. I mean, Wyatt Langford's probably going to have a breakout, and that's going to be awesome. And we're going to talk about the offense in just a second and my absolute incredible frustration with it so far. But Jack Leiter becoming this, if he even is this, even if he's less than this, because he's going to have some starts this year where he gets lit up. He's going to have some starts, honestly, like the one that Rocker had this week. He probably will. I hope I'm wrong, but he probably will. And him being not just ready, I mean, we can think about the long term and what he eventually becomes and all that good stuff. But I talked about at the beginning of this season that the Rangers aren't as concerned with that as what he is right now, because with those 2 injuries, with the injury to John Gray, with the injury to Cody Bradford, with Tyler Mahle and Jacob deGrom and Kumar Rocker kind of coming off of Tommy John surgery recovery and having the limits on them, you can't ask Nathan Eovaldi at 36 to go through a complete game shutty every single game. And if Jack Leiter starts being that consistent second horse that they can just kind of take the reins off, I know he exited after 70 pitches with a blister. I think he's going to come back and make his next start and be just fine. The right now of what Jack Leiter is right now is so important that he has stepped up and accepted this challenge, and not just accepted the challenge, but freaking crushed it and been way better than the Rangers expected to be. That is huge for this team, not just in the long term, which is important and looks much, much brighter. But for right now, this kid is incredible, and I am so freaking excited at what he did right now. Now, he wasn't the only one absolutely crushing it in the pitching department in this game. The bullpen stepped up in a huge way. You're talking about Luke Jackson looking much better, and I think it's finally time to start getting at least a little concerned with this offense. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic associations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without all that artificial junk. Whether you're recovering after a workout or need energy boost, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKDOWNMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow @just.ingredients on Instagram. This show is also brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. I'll be back on Monday's show talking about this weekend series against the Rays. Hopefully one in which this offense can finally start hitting the ball real good over the fence and scoring lots of runs, so we don't have to keep talking about 1-0 victories, which, by the way, this is the first time in Rangers history where they have won back-to-back 1-0 games. The Rangers are undefeated in one-run games, a sign that this bullpen is really darn good. And one last little thing about Jack Leiter before we move on. Jack Leiter, remember his first starts last year where his defense really didn't do him any favors, and the bullpen didn't do him any favors, including, I remember after that really good start against the Yankees, where he left a couple of runners on there, and the bullpen let those inherited runners score, and a certain radio host who didn't know ball or watch the game said, "Oh, well, this Jack Leiter kid is washed. He sucks. He's no good at all." I bet that guy's feeling a little silly right now. But his defense in this game really stepping up. Adolis Garcia with that sliding, diving catch, a ball he didn't get a great read on. And the wind was just crazy in Cincinnati in that day game. It was blowing out to left field and kind of in vortexing between right and center field. A really great and difficult play by Adolis Garcia, but not the play of the game. Joshua hits real good. Silver Slugger, Pookie All-Star Smith is trying to add a Gold Glove to that resume, be a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove winner at the utility position. And with that diving, ranging catch in very shallow center field, just an incredible play at shortstop, running back, ranging back on a ball that was, I'm sure, swirling around. That was where the wind was kind of at its craziest, was right there in shallow center field. And Josh Smith making another incredible play to go along with the opening day play that he made at shortstop on that ranging back and on spinning on the run throw to get the leadoff runner in the 7th inning of that game, and a game where the Rangers ultimately lost. Josh Smith is well on his way. The highlight reel has already got 2 absolute gems on it, and we're a week into this game. But the bullpen also stepped up to help Jack Leiter. Part of the reason why the Rangers felt comfortable taking Jack Leiter out, even though he had only allowed 1 base runner through 5 innings, mainly the blister, which again, I don't think is going to be too much of an issue. Jack seems to think it's going to be fine. Bruce Bochy seems to think it's going to be fine. He's got an extra day off, so even if he needs 2 extra days off, he should make his next start, and hopefully this will be something that we forget about, and he's just as good in the next start. But this bullpen stepping up for 4 shutout innings. The Rangers still undefeated in 1-run games so far this season. A perfect inning from Jacob Webb, a perfect inning from Robert Garcia with a couple of strikeouts, just a couple of hits, one from Chris Martin, one from Luke Jackson, who looked really darn good. The chart for Luke Jackson, look at the quality of these strikes. He is living on the edges. He also has a new breaking ball, a curveball called a death ball, kind of similar to the Jordan Montgomery curveball when it was working very, very well. But this bullpen shutting the door. 4 shutout innings weren't needed in Nathan Eovaldi's gem. They were needed in 3 of those 4 wins against the Red Sox. Heck, they were needed in actually all 4 of those games against the Red Sox. They just didn't get it done in one of those games. But the rest of these games, stepping up in a big way. This was a great outing from the bullpen, but the Rangers' offense should not have made it this close. Yet again, another game where the Rangers score just 1 run. They get out with the win, and the offense just has not done much. Really much at all. Just 3 hits aside in this game. Jack Leiter gave up the double to Ellie De La Cruz. Chris Martin gave up the hit, and that was a single. That was to, I believe, Jake Fraley, and then Friedel got a hit off of Luke Jackson, and that was it. And the Rangers only got 3 hits, and 2 of those were in the same inning. One of them was a little dribbler that the third baseman could have maybe made a play on by Jock Peterson, and then one was a smash, a double to left field for Josh Smith, driving in the only run of this game, his first extra base hit of the season, his second hit of this season. But the Rangers were just dominated by Hunter Greene. Just absolutely dominated. A guy who is a very, very fastball heavy pitcher. He threw it a lot in this game. A lot. 59 four-seam fastballs. Of his 94 pitches, 59 of them were fastballs. He threw 8 splitters and 27 sliders, and the slider was really, really working for him. I mean, he had 12 whiffs on 18 swings of the slider, and 9 whiffs on 42 swings at the four-seam fastball. I mean, 22 whiffs from one starting pitcher. That is a heck of a game. But the Rangers were bad against fastballs last year, and they thought they brought in guys who were going to crush it against fastballs. Jake Berger, apparently excellent fastball hitter. Jock Peterson, excellent fastball hitter. Kyle Higashioka, pretty good fastball hitter. And, Jake Berger has not been hitting fastballs well so far this season. Heck, he hasn't been hitting much of anything well so far this season, including striking out on a fastball and popping up on a fastball and striking out on a four-seam fastball up in the zone. I mean, just not dominating those fastballs like you would think. I mean, so far this season against fastballs, he is hitting 100. Granted, the expected batting average is 274. That's kind of around where it was last year. The expected slugging is at 692. His actual slugging against fastballs is 400 because the one hit he has against a fastball is that opposite field home run that he had in the first game of this series. You might have forgotten because you probably tuned out because the Rangers were down 11, 13 runs. 12? Double-digit runs at that point. But I think that's eventually going to get fixed. But, I mean, the whiff rate on the breaking stuff and off-speed stuff for him is a little concerning. I mean, he's only swinging missing at 15.4% on fastballs. That's good. That's very good. And I think the fastball, success will come for him. But when you're whiffing 40% of the time on off-speed stuff, again, that's literally 7 pitches and 27 breaking balls where he's whiffing 46.7% of the time. That's not great for sure. Again, it's only 10 plate appearances. We're only a week into the season, but it's just a little frustrating. The Rangers offense hasn't really kicked it into gear pretty much at all. And I don't know that it's going to this weekend either. I mean, the team that the Rangers are facing is very, very good at pitching. You might have known this about the Rays, but their starting pitchers this year, 6 games into the season, they have a 1.59 ERA, the best in baseball. I guarantee you cannot tell me who is second behind them. You can't. And they're only 0.02 ERA behind them at this point. Yeah, that's right. It's the Colorado Rockies. What? The Chicago White Sox, also in the top 5. Baseball is so weird. But the Rangers right now at 7th place in terms of starter ERA at 2.60. I know we're 7 starts into the season, but that even is including an outing where Kumar Rocker went just 3 innings and gave up 6 runs. And that's also including an outing where Tyler Mahle went an inning and 2/3 and gave up a run. It could have given up a lot more if not for the bullpen stepping up in that Saturday game. And hopefully we'll see a better version of Tyler Mahle this weekend. I think we will. But it doesn't get any easier. And the Rays bullpen is also exceptional. I mean, their strikeout rate with the starters, their strikeout to walk rate is insane. I mean, they've walked 4 batters in 34 innings and struck out 39. This is going to be a tough assignment for this Rangers team and these Rangers bats to get going. And it makes sense that this team hasn't really hit its stride offensively yet when, 6 out of the 9 guys in this lineup are struggling, and not just struggling, but struggling mightily. I mean, I'm legitimately very, very worried about Ezekiel Duran, a guy who absolutely crushed fastballs, and he's struggling to hit really anything at this point. Ideally, you're not seeing Zeke this much because Josh Young is healthy and Corey Seager is not dealing with a calf injury, and so Josh Smith is getting those, giving those guys half days, and that's the backup infielder that you're seeing. But, I mean, he's struggling, and Berger is struggling, and Peterson is starting to figure some things out. But really, the only guys who are hitting for much of anything, it's Adolis Garcia and Wyatt Langford, a little bit of Jonah Heim at this point, a little bit of Kevin Pillar, and the little that we've seen him. But this lineup needs to get going. There's 2 ways to kind of look at this point. The Rangers are 5-2, and they've barely scored. There's 2 ways to look at it. It's either, this pitching is way better than we thought, and that's awesome. Eventually, this lineup's going to figure things out. Or if you want to be a real pessimist, you can say, wow, this lineup actually sucks. This pitching isn't going to hold up, and everything sucks. I choose to go the opposite way. I choose to go the positive way. These are a lot of very good hitters. I think that eventually they will figure things out sooner as opposed to later. Marcus Stammen being the only person to reach base multiple times in that finale. Corey Seager is going to get healthy, and Corey Seager is going to crush it because Corey Seager is one of the best hitters on the planet. White Langford is breaking out. Adolis Garcia looks incredible. Jock Peterson is going to figure some things out. I mean, the underlying data for him and Berger, I think it shows that those guys are due to improve quite a bit. And that if the Rangers get starting pitching like this, if Jack Leiter is this dude, if Nathan Eovaldi is this dude, and if the Rangers can keep Jacob deGrom healthy, it almost doesn't matter as much what Kumar Rocker and Tyler Mahle are doing at the back end of this rotation, because this is going to be a formidable team. A good series win, not perfect, but there are some incredibly exciting signs about the Rangers' present and their future. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.